Hello, my name is Garvin, and I read things and chatter about them on the internet for your entertainment. Today, we're looking at Book 4 of Perry Rhodan's Lemurian miniseries, entitled The First Immortal. This one gets a bit crazy, so same rules as the last couple videos, there's gonna be spoilers, and this is your warning to hit pause if you don't want the novel spoiled for you, because there's a big twist in this one, folks. With that said, let's turn to. Alright, so with Book 3, we learned how the Lemurian Space Ark program came into being, and we learned the driving force behind the construction of these generation ships was actually a mysterious Lemurian Immortal who knew that his people were going to face a genocidal alien enemy in the future. This person's name was Lemuria, and I do want to apologize to any Perry Rhodan fans for my pronunciation. I can't find any English pronunciation guides. This is literally my best guess. So, Perry had these memories beamed into his skull by a machine in Book 3. And just as he's coming to grips with this big memory dump, he gets hit with the news that a third Lemurian space ark has turned up. This time, right next to the capital system of the Iconians. And Perry wants on that ship because the memories he got from that device last book tell him that Levian was on that ark, that specific ark next to the Iconians' capital system. And Perry is like me, and I imagine most of the people who've read the series up to this point. He wants answers as to just what the hell is going on here. Because there's a lot of questions here, like, these space arks were launched thousands of years before that genocidal war happened. In fact, they were launched before the Lemurians ever made contact with other alien species. So how did this guy know that there was going to be a genocidal war? For that matter, how did this guy become immortal? He just shows up and he's not aging, and the Lemurians have no idea why. Perry knows how he became immortal, and apparently the technology that makes him immortal is fairly close to what's making Levian immortal, so what's going on? The only way he's going to get answers is to track this guy down. However, the Iconians are not in any mood to share access to these Lemurians. For those of you who might not remember, the Iconians are descendants of a colony that managed to hide from the beast. That's what they call the aliens that destroyed the Lemurian Empire. And being the direct descendants of Lemuria is a big part of their identity, to the point that they resent having to share this status of being descended from Lemuria with Terrans, that's humans from Earth like us, or the Arconians, who are also descended from aliens. And for those of you who remember my earlier reviews of Perry Rhodan, the Arconians are a different alien species that Thora and Crest were members of that species. So they were the first aliens Perry Rhodan ever met. Now, the Iconians know they'll have to share what they find out eventually, but they want to squeeze all the political and cultural advantage they can from this while hiding as much as possible from others. A lot of this book has to deal with Iconians, Iconian society, and Iconian government, and I have to be honest, I really enjoy that. I enjoy cracking open a science fiction book and learning about an alien culture and having alien characters. So Book 4 really hit the spot for me. And this book delves a bit into Iconian society. It's very class conscious, with the children of aristocratic families having a lot of political power to go with their immense wealth, as well as their social status. And it has this tendency towards deception, this need to put on a good face and maintain appearances no matter what. And this isn't just my read. The Iconian characters in the novel flat out admit to this, at least to each other when there are no non-Iconians around to overhear them. The government exercises a lot of control over information and how history is perceived, and that is to push a narrative that glorifies the state and society while pushing people to conform. This isn't a totalitarian regime with no freedom, however. Criticism of the government is voiced openly. People have freedom of travel. They have freedom of association. And from what I understand, this society is actually more free than past generations. There's a lot of discussion of how, well, our society has undergone a lot of reform, but I'm still not happy with the Iconian characters. And I found this really interesting. But let me get back to the story itself. It's the Iconian historian Solina Tormes who explains why she and other Iconian characters are still not completely happy even after this reform. As she puts it, past defeats are still turned into grand heroic gestures. Uncomfortable truths are still shoved under the rug. People still face trouble and social consequences for cooperating too closely with aliens, even if it's just in the name of academic curiosity. And in her case, a talented woman is shoved off into the wastelands of the galaxy because of her refusal to bend history to glorify the state, and her lack of aristocratic blood, which makes her inconvenient. And when she makes a huge discovery anyways, finding that first Lemurian arc in Book 1, she is rudely shoved to the side without so much as a thank you for your service. Selena has been a very important character, and I haven't talked too much about her for a lack of time and space, but she was also one of the people who helped bring about the alliance between the Last Tour and the Palanque in the first place. And as a driven, talented woman, when the Iconian government sequesters her to keep her from helping Perry Rhodan get on that ship, along with the rest of the crew of the Last Tour, she doesn't take it laying down, and she is willing to resort to blackmailing her own government to get herself and Perry Rhodan on this arc. And as much as I respect the determination and cunning she shows to get them on that space arc, it almost feels like a wasted effort because we don't get to see a lot of that space arc. Because, well, unlike the others that have shown up in this series so far, there's nothing wrong on this ship. You have a ship full of thousands of Lemurians living in a fairly healthy, if perhaps slightly overregulated society. We do spend a lot of time on yet another arc, a fourth one. And this one is in an even worse situation than the first two arcs. You may recall that the arc that crashed in Book 2 was suffering from a mysterious disease that mutated the Lemurians, caused birth defects, all sorts of things. In this space arc, it was worse. It wiped out pretty much everyone except for the Immortal captain. That's another thing. Each one of these Lemurians has a captain who is immortal. So that's another question. How did Levian know how to make these devices, these cell activators that make more immortals? Well, she's not willing to sit there for hundreds of years by herself, and she doesn't want to admit to failure, so using cloning and other genetic technology, she basically whips up a new batch of people to live on the Ark from her own genetic material. These people are incredibly small by human standards so that they'll take up less space and resources, but she was able to make them immune to disease, although they're still carriers of the disease, and that's going to be important for later, so put a pin on that. And it's on this fourth space arc that we meet a young man who's going to be a very important character for this novel. His name is Boric, and when we meet him, he is just embarking on his manhood ritual, well, the manhood ritual of his people, I should say, where he leaves behind childhood and becomes an adult. This ritual is based on the fact that this space arc has two decks that face each other, one on top of the other. The gravity on the ship is arranged in such a way that when you look up, you see the other deck, but their gravity is pulling them to their deck. So, you know, you can see them in the sky, basically. But if you climb the highest peak on the deck, the gravity will flip and take you to the other side. That's the ritual Boric has to do. And while most of his friends just climb up halfway up the mountain, hide, and then come back. He's the smallest, weakest, and weirdest member of his age group, so he intends to go all the way just to prove that he can, and to ensure that no one can ever deny that he is a man. And I can understand that need to prove himself. It doesn't help that Bork's people don't actually know they live on a generation ship. This is just the world to them. Their creator hid a lot from them. So he makes it to the other side, where he finds out that there are 6 girls or so for every guy. And, well, along the way, he discovered that he had a mental power where he could compel people to obey him with his voice. I'm not going to get into details. The book doesn't get into details either. But things happen. Let's just put it that way so that the Dreadlord algorithm doesn't demonetize me. Now, this could have led to me hating Boric pretty easily, because I'm not fond of people who abuse their power or their authority. But Boric is actually the only character in the story who turns around, looks at what he's done, and goes, "Oh no, I should not have done that. That was not right. I need to never do that again." And I find this struggle with the morality and proper use of its power to be very interesting and realistic. Boric is never malicious. He often reacts out of fear or ignorance, both in his journey and later when his arc is contacted by the outside universe. I'll get to that in a moment. At every step, he is just reacting, and most of the time just trying to protect himself. For example, when that still living Immortal commander kidnaps him right after he completes the ritual and is heading home, she tries to force him into some sort of, I think it's a stasis pod, where he's going to be rendered unconscious and basically made part of the ship's control system, using his psychic abilities to control the ship engines. He doesn't understand this, but he understands if he gets into this pod, he's going to be put to sleep and he is not going to get to live again. So he fights back, and with his power ends up killing her and taking her cell activator and becoming immortal. Which I can understand why Perry's cell activator is implanted inside his body just from this sequence. But his actions are completely understandable. He is fighting to protect himself, and he regrets it later. He feels like, I murdered her and I should have maybe found a better way. At the same time, when you read this in the story, you're left thinking, I'm not sure there was a better way. I really do think it was you or her. But his commitment to try and do better with his power does cut him a lot of slack in my book. You can see how much the guilt of that action weighs down on Boric in the story, because when the Iconians find his ark and come into the ship, he panics, thinking that they are here to punish him for killing the commander and using his power to escape her. This is also where an interesting facet of Iconian society comes back to bite them in the ass. You see, the Iconians link all their planets together through a vast teleporter network, and they make very casual use of it, to the point that in their version of New York City, there are businesses that aren't actually in the city. They just have an entrance that's a teleporter. You walk through, and you're in the store or the hotel or wherever, and it's actually thousands of miles away, if not thousands of light years away, where land is cheaper, which I thought was a neat trick. But while linking everything together by teleporter does make for faster and easier travel, and what I get is they did this instead of doing it by starship to make it harder to find them. Remember when I said these people were carrying the disease that wiped out a space ark and has killed a lot of Lemurians on another space ark? Boric is carrying that, so when he escapes the Iconians, flees through their transporter, and ends up on their capital world, wandering around, he is spreading a disease that could kill hundreds of thousands, if not millions. So the Iconians and Perry have to drop everything, which is very frustrating for Perry because he hasn't found Livian yet. and try and track him down and talk him to coming back. And they want to do this without hurting him because, one, they know he's not malicious. This is just a guy who's freaking out and running. And two, Perry is really hoping that Boric can tell him where Livian is. Now, Boric doesn't know where Livian is, but it's kind of a funny story. So one of the earlier questions I had was why the Lemurians had statues and altars to a Haluter that they called the Keeper, when the Haluters were descended from the alien beast that wiped out Lemurian society in the first place. And this book answers it. Now, you may remember Ikko Tolos, the Haluter who is Perry Rhodan's best friend, and how in book 2 they ran into an individual that looked just like him. Well, it turns out that double was his older self who had time traveled to the past, got into contact with Livian when he was on that space ark, and gave him access to FTL travel. Livian would use that to jump from ark to ark, to check up on people, and set all of this up beforehand, because when he found out time travel was possible, he started to come up with a plan. And this plan was kickstarted by the fact that he found out something even worse. There were beasts who escaped the Lemurian weapon that would kind of reset their emotional and mental state and kind of put them on the path to considering that genocide was bad. These beasts went and hid themselves in remote planets and set up factories and cloning centers to create more soldiers and more wars, so that when they emerged, they could restart the war. And a planet of them is waking up right now. On that planet is a time travel device. Livian, in the past, after Lemuria fell, found a weapon that could kill the beast outright. And he's realized, after talking to the time-traveling Tolos, that if he could travel back in time to before the war starts, give the weapons to the Lemurians, they could win complete victory over the beast. And therefore, the fall of Lemuria would never happen, and the side effect would be wiping out 50,000 years of history, including all of Terran, aka Earth history as we know it, as well as all Iconian and all Arconian history, just to start with. Basically, none of our other characters would exist because the fall of Lemuria is absolutely necessary for these cultures to even come into being. This would create a time paradox on top of that, and no one knows the result of creating one, but Livian is willing to risk it to save his people because in the end, he is a Lemurian. And even though he has spent millennia hiding in a Cohen civilization after setting all of this up, he still, in his soul, is a Lemurian, and the Lemurians matter more to him than anything or anyone else. Now, I mentioned he's been hiding in Iconian civilization for millennia, or at least centuries. The reason this is funny is he's been posing, at least in this lifetime, as an Iconian naval officer, and Perry has been tearing space arcs apart looking for him, while this dude was all of 10 feet away from him and kind of laughing at him. I thought that was funny. And to be fair, Livian feels bad doing this to Perry and using him as a pawn, but in his mind, it's to prevent the deaths of billions, if not trillions, of people. And I can respect that devotion. At the same time, if I was in this story, I would be utterly opposed to him doing this, because while the fall of Lemuria is tragic, I'm not willing to die and have everything I've ever known and loved erased to undo something that happened tens of thousands of years before I was born. Keep in mind, folks, if Livian wins, that means there is no human race as we know it, and our entire history just vanishes. Assuming the time paradox doesn't just rip apart the universe and utterly destroy everything, which is another risk I'm flat out not willing to take. I also really hope if I was in any kind of situation remotely like Livian's, I wouldn't be willing to do this to trillions of innocent people. But that's a moral debate for the comments, I think. What do you think, folks? Do you think he's right to try and wipe out 50,000 years of history and risk the destruction of the universe to save his people? Go ahead, sound out in the comments, tell me your thoughts. Thank you. Now, all debate aside, I don't think it's a big spoiler to say that Levian is stopped. After all, we still have 2 more books to go in this series, and it'd be really hard to do book 5 and 6 with, and now we've erased our entire Perry Rhodan series, let's just start over in Lemuria, right? Sorry, let me get back to the story. Boric actually plays a big role in stopping him, because he has that power to compel, and Levian is not immune to that power. So, this book does give us a lot of answers, though. We find out why the Hoolers are semi-worshipped in the Arcs, because all their contact was with super good guy Iktotolos. And just as a side note, we get to spend more time with Ikko in this book, and that just really firms my opinion that he is a cool and trustworthy dude. I mean, yes, he looks a little scary due to being, over 10 feet tall, over 4 feet wide, having 4 arms, and the ability to tear apart a Ford F-250 with his bare hands. But this is a guy who's willing to put himself at risk to protect others, and he even goes to the extent of reaching out to the awakened beasts to try to convince them to lay down their arms and give peace a chance. I found that really admirable. At the same time, while he's extending that olive branch, he doesn't put anyone else at risk. He still takes actions to protect people, even if that means killing the beast, who are, I guess, kind of cousins in a way. So he comes across as a very practical and wise character who is firmly committed to his morals, but isn't dumb about it. And that's always a joy to read. Now, usually time travel plots are kind of a turnoff for me. I'm a little tired of them. But since the time travel plot is more of an inciting incident and not front and center in the story, it didn't really impact my enjoyment of this book. And I'm still enjoying this series. My lack of Perry Rhodan knowledge really hasn't slowed me down. I'm still avoiding looking things up, so I might be wildly off base on how I understand certain things, but we're going to keep going. I'm hoping the next book will answer the question of how Levian became immortal in the first place. But this novel was a fun read, with the Boric story being a highlight for me. His struggle not to be a monster made him very sympathetic, and his acknowledging his failures and his grief over them kept him from tilting too far over any moral lines for me. Perry Rhodan, I didn't talk about him a lot, but he was fairly impressive in this story as well, and I think I understand how he's a legend in this setting. On that note, I think this is a good place to end this week's video. I hope you found it informative or at least entertaining. If you did, please leave a like, comment, or consider subscribing. All these help me in my eternal struggle against the Dread Lord Algorithm. Terror be on his name. If you'd like a voice on the subjects of future videos, consider joining my Everwise patrons for $1 a month. There's a link in the description below. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to give a special thanks to Big Steve, my biggest supporter, both in height and in the Patreon status. Next week, we hit book 5 of the series, The Last Days of Lemuria. I hope you'll join me for that, but until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and of course, keep reading.